name's Ayres, and I'm this week's studio visiting artist for I Like Your Work. I'm based in sunny South Philadelphia, where I work in my basement studio creating mixed media paintings on paper. I was raised in Houston, Texas, and studied art at Rutgers and Columbia. Afterwards, I maintained a studio in New York City for several years before taking a hiatus. During that time, I moved to Philadelphia and started a family, and resumed my artistic practice about 3 years ago. Given the constraints of this space, I switched to 2D works on paper. These limitations have proven to be a fruitful challenge, allowing me to create work that's both engaging and satisfying. My current work traces the evolution of my art since resuming after my break. I will show you examples starting with early doodles and sketches from my journals, progressing to small then larger watercolors. Currently, I'm exploring a variety of media, including acrylics and pencils and ink, and more sophisticated processes, which I can get into. My latest work features imagery, specifically interiors that serve as psychological spaces. These are tableaus in which I employ other objects, anachronistic objects from the 70s, motifs and patterns, some things in dealing with aspirational furniture or interior design and wallpaper, creating an interplay, an inner game, which I find compelling and nuanced. And of course, these since they are so personal, the images are two-tracked. They work for me on a certain level, and I'm sure they work for other people on a completely different level since they're not inside my head. Let me go ahead and show you around the studio. Okay, so this is my shop and my studio all in one. I used to be a sculptor, so I have a lot of shop tools. I have a computer, a couple computers, and another computer upstairs in my office. I use computers to do a lot of image research and Photoshop manipulation and digital collaging in preparation for my paintings. This is sort of a Murphy bed situation, meaning that I have to break stuff down for other things to happen. All of my work tables and stuff are convertible, so I can move stuff around easily. I would have liked to have stuff set up in perpetuity to show you exactly what my palettes and stuff look like, but it just doesn't work in a space that's less than 125 square feet. So this is storage. And it's, it's pretty tight, but we make do. And I kind of love this place. Anyway, on to it. So I started with these journal drawings when I first got started again. These are like small sketches in words. I settled on these amps and decided it was time to get stop posting little images to Instagram. From there, I switched over to watching watercolor videos online, instructional videos for the recreational artist. And from these, I started placing the amps into these landscapes. I thought it was a lot of fun and pretty funny. And from that, I started moving into, I brought the outside inside, and then I started arriving at these psychological spaces that are populated with things like a drum stool. Like when I was learning how to play drums, I'm still a musician and it informs my work. Or say a twister mat. Or we have taxidermy from Texas and lawn darts. Used to fly over the fence. Also, here's a piece that kind of riffs on Van Eyck or Vermeer. This one's called Delft School Blues, and inside the wallpaper has motifs having a lot to do with sort of how I would imagine an art school experience progress, the way I've heard it from many people. Then down here I have another piece that has to do with home. My mother died in the last year and a half, so I think a lot of this has to do with going home again. I think a lot of this work, pulling from Texas, has a lot to do with her, the fact that she got sick and died, and I went down there to take care of her, and I spent some time now down in Texas for the first time in a long time. So I think that's why I'm pulling so much from my childhood right now. Here's another ode to Houston. This is having to do with the space race or the, Johnson Space Center near where I grew up. This work's in progress. Again, this is sort of like a, this aspirational interior. Wouldn't it be great to have such a slick looking space? I guess it's sort of every suburban boy's dream to kind of have a space like this. I can show you how the sausage is made. I use every trick in the book. I'm not a natural born drawer, so I use tracing paper and digital help, AI, whatever I need to do to realize my images, which I consider fabricated more than drawn. So this image is basically based on the Surrender song by Cheap Trick. So I have a Victrola. Instead of Kiss records out, I have my Cheap Trick records out. I have Le Corbusier chairs and chase lounges in both of these images, you can see. And in lieu of mom and dad, I am gonna have leopards rolling around on the couch. So that's my personal work. I was gonna share one other thing, which is this collaboration I'm doing with another artist where we are working on these Gilded Age criminals mugshots. We're pulling from a book that was published in 1880. She's doing the portraits, which I think are really awesome. And I'm doing the backgrounds. I'm driving AI to create wallpapers out of toxic plants and insects. And I'm going to be populating all of these images for a show in September associated with the Philadelphia Fringe Festival. Well, thanks for spending some time in my studio. So thanks again for touring my studio with I Like Your Work. You can find more of my work at DerekAyres.com or on Instagram at Derek_Ayres_art, and read a full interview about my practice on ILikeYourWorkPodcast.com under the Studio Visit Artist drop-down menu.